Hi and welcome. My name is Karina Ladet. I'm an intuitive channel, a healer, and a mentor for conscious entrepreneurs. And I'm super excited to introduce you to my dear friend, Debra Mazer. Hi, Debra. Welcome.
Hi, Karina. I'm so happy to be here and honored to be here with you. I love you.
It's such a joy. I love you too. And I'm super excited to share you with my tribe. And so for those of you who don't know Debra, she's a beautiful soul. She's a real hippie. She lives in the US on the West Coast. I'm always stalking her on social media and being able to kind of share the moments that you have there that are really inspiring and so different from my lifestyle. So Debra is a life coach. She's a holistic health coach, and she is a spiritual and cookbook author. She just released her new book. It's called Retreat Recipes for Yoga Lovers, and it's a great book. And the recipes are like, they look so yummy. I can't wait to just create lots of new food. She's also an award-winning chef. Yeah, sounds pretty impressive, right?
Thank you, Karina.
You're welcome. So
I'm a Gemini, so I get to be multifaceted. It's part of my astrology.
Such a gift too, isn't it, to be able to do many different things that you love. And I would love for you to share a bit about who you are and why you're so passionate about holistic health and spirituality and all the things that you're sharing with the world.
Yeah, so it's funny. I actually grew up as what I like to call a math nerd. So I was really, I was super very high achieving in school and very follow the rules, and I did really well. People thought that I was gonna go to a really, Harvard University or something, become a doctor or a lawyer. That's what people thought about me. I was this very studious. And then I went to university, and I studied sociology, and I became a hippie in university. And I started learning in my classes about holistic health, about Eastern versus Western medicine, and meditation. I took my first yoga class in meditation when I was 18, 19. I had the dreadlocks. I had the VW camper van that I ran on alternative fuel. So, and I went to the Rainbow Gathering and, festivals and all of that. I was very quintessential US hippie. I became a huge hippie. And I visited intentional communities and was really into just alternative lifestyle of all sorts. And I also grew up eating, here in the US, they call it the standard American diet. That's what they call it. It's meat and potatoes. But I feel in the US, our food is not as pure. So eating meat and potatoes in Europe, I feel is different than in the US. There's all these hormones and things that we just don't know about that are in our food. And I became vegetarian. I became vegetarian when I was 17 because I was sensitive. Like a lot of you, I was a sensitive soul. And when I would eat meat, I would think about the animal, but I didn't know that it was allowed, that you could not eat it. I thought, you just had to suffer through. Yeah. And then I started meeting people that were vegetarian, and I said, oh my gosh, I want to do that. So I did that. And again, a lot of the systems around how animals are raised, and specifically, I do feel it's in the US. I don't know, I have the stereotype that in Europe, everything is just way more conscious. But in the US would be these big factory farms and everything. And so I started learning about that, and I thought, oh my gosh, I don't want to eat any animal products. And so I went vegan, and then I became a raw foodist when I was 23. I did 100% raw for a year and a half.
Wow.
And it was my window in to a lot of expansion and spiritual growth when I started eating raw food. So I'm remembering your question was about me being passionate about health and wellness. I'm kind of telling you my story, but when I changed what I ate, even though I was already vegetarian, I changed and ate a lot of raw food, I felt incredibly connected to spirit. And I felt incredibly connected to my creativity. A lot of ideas were coming through, and just I felt happy for no reason. I would break out into laughter for no reason. And I had been dealing with a little bit, I wasn't like ultra depressed, but I was dealing with some depression, and it was completely gone when I changed what I ate. I also always had really bad just allergies. I wasn't one of those people that had a really serious thing like cancer or something, but just little things like I would have to take medication for my allergies. Like when I would go outside, I'd always be sneezing and like trouble breathing. And when I changed what I ate, it went away. I didn't have to take medication anymore for allergies. So it was like these little things. I just felt happy. And so it became this unforeseen passion. Like, you know, because here I was, this kind of math person, and I was very studious. And then even in university, I did really well, even though I was studying these alternative subjects. And then I just like dove really into holistic health because it made me, my personal experience made me feel so good. So, and as you and I were chatting a little bit before, and I shared that, you know, my personal diet, I'm actually not 100% vegan anymore. I'm not 100% raw anymore. I like to call myself, my name is Debra, so I call myself a Debra-tarian. So instead of vegetarian, I call myself Debra-tarian because I'm just really into not labeling myself. And, but I eat, if you were to look at what I eat, I do eat a lot of vegan. I do eat mostly vegetarian. Every once in a while I'll have like some fish or something. I'm really into intuitive eating. So listening to the body, tuning into the body, what the body wants. So, and I'm really into getting green foods in, like whether it's like smoothies or salads or like soups or whatever, just like eating more fruits and vegetables. I think so many people, they want to put themselves on these strict diets. And it's like, no, I can't have this and I can't have that, and no more sugar and no more cake and no more dessert. And it's like, it's bound to fail when we restrict ourselves. And that's what I found for myself. Because I went strict on raw food for so long, and I was so strict, even though I felt like really high on life, it also felt restrictive to me too. It was like this interesting thing where I felt isolated from other people, and I was like so strict about it that when I came off of it, I went kind of like the other extreme where I was just like, I was eating, like I was kind of binging. I call it a spiritual eating disorder. I was binging on like Indian food. Like I'd go to, you know, or something like that. So it's like I learned for myself, and I see it for others, that it's really more about adding in the positive. It's about adding more like good things in, not about like, oh, you can't do this and you can't do that.
Yeah, it's a different way of looking at it, isn't it? And I guess that's what you help others with, and that's what you bring when you, for example, cater for like yoga retreats, or when you have evenings where people eat your food. Like, because I can tell just from the images that there's so much joy and there's a lot of love in that. Like it's really like the offering and sharing food, and it doesn't feel like a diet, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to me. Food is so much more than food. So food is in-person community for me. Like I know a lot of us, myself included, we're always like online, we're in front of a computer, and we're doing a lot of work virtually. And food is just such a wonderful way to actually spend time with other people in real life, you know, to share a meal with people. It brings people together. It's like they say breaking bread, right? It's like the saying, you know, that breaks bread together. So it's kind of a way that we can hang out in person. And I love that. I love creating in-person community. And it's also a way that, you know, when I was like in my peak hippie days with the dreadlocks and the van and the living with camping in the van, I visited these eco villages, and I lived in these different eco villages in the US, and working on like the farm and the garden and eating what we grew. And it was like the food was a connection to the earth. The food was a direct connection to the earth. And I still, I don't consciously think of it every time I'm working with food, but I think subconsciously it's actually a healing for me just to, like, let's say I'm chopping up some cabbage or something to make like a, salad, or I'm touching this thing that is not a computer. It's not a cell phone. Yeah. It's something that came from the earth, and there's a healing energy just touching it and working with it. And it's also very grounding. It keeps us grounded, because I know, for me included, spiritual people, like, I have my morning ritual every day, or I'm meditating and I'm journaling and I'm doing like a little prayer, and I can get so out there. Like, I'm so up here with it, and the food, it kind of brings me back into my body. And it's also this thing that is, it's a way to practice self-care that has to happen every day. So it's like, you can say, I want to do self-care, so I'm going to take a bath with, essential oils or something, or I'm going to get a massage, or I'm going to go to yoga. But food is something that has to happen every day. And so you can choose for that to be a self-care and a healing. You can choose for that to be a way that you actually stop and take a moment, and really like love yourself and give to yourself. So, yeah. And I don't know, it's interesting how the career kind of took over. I'm a coach too now, but the food has been the longest thing I've been doing. I've been doing it for almost 16 years professionally. And so,
wow.
Yeah, I've been a personal chef. I catered a private dinner for Chris Carr. I worked for like David Wolf retreats in Hawaii. And then my most recent, big exciting person that I was working with was Shiva Ray. Last year was catering a bunch of her yoga retreats in Southern California. And it was exciting because I have recorded my recipes before, but they were always raw food recipes. And so when I was doing these retreats, I was really embracing that I'm cooking, and it's not, and some of it's vegetarian and most of it's vegan. And but I was cooking these like gluten-free kind of like world cuisine foods. And people loved it, and they started asking me for the recipes, and I didn't have it recorded. I didn't have my recipes recorded. And so it was like this inspiration I felt, and I get inspired through my practices, like through my daily meditation. And that's where the creativity comes through, and I get guided, to write this recipe book. So do it, write it down and offer it to the people at the retreats. So that's what I did. I started a year ago working on this book, Retreat Recipes for Yoga Lovers, that I just completed, and it's out in the world. It's an ebook, and it's exciting. It's over 100 recipes. It's like the longest thing I've ever written. I'm an author already, but I've never written a book over 100 pages. Like, they were all like shorter books, and this one, it's 144. It was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and they look amazing and so varied, and there's so many yummy recipes in there. So, and I would assume that for like soulful entrepreneurs who are like busy creating and not necessarily always taking good care of their health, like this is a really good way to keep their vibes high and to enjoy food as well. Like, I can't wait to start creating from your recipe book as well, because I've seen it and I love it. I love the images. It looks yummy, and there's so many different things. I really wanted to start with the desserts because I love desserts, and it's great to get some ideas, right? And to really get the energy, like, because because it feels like the way you look at food and how you prepare it. So it's like ritual, right? And I know even when you're cooking and you're preparing it with your team and stuff, like, so because there's a lot of love that goes into the food, and a lot of ritual and like healing energies.
I had to learn a lot about about conscious business. I was reading books because when I was catering these big retreats, I can't do it all on my own. So I had to get help. I had to have people like working with me, and how to. I think it's so important, the energy of like leadership, and how do we, especially in person, we were in these situations where we couldn't escape each other because we're living on site together. We're all sharing this big room. Like, we're all like in the same room and sharing a bathroom and everything. So, and working together all the time. So communication becomes so important. And that's in the book as well a little bit, just talking about that. I read some amazing books like Sacred Commerce was this amazing book I read by some restaurant owners that I love, and they talk about having like check-ins, you know, with the employees, and it's so important to create a good energy. And the energy goes into the food. It goes into anything we do in any kind of business, you know, just to keep everyone feeling good and keep the communication going. And what do I want to say about the soulful entrepreneurs? Like, yeah, it's just the recipes are easy too. There's a lot of like whole grains and beans and things like, and it's teaching you, if you don't really have a lot of experience, just going through the book, you'll learn a lot. Like you'll learn about like what oils to use or what salts to use or like what spices to buy and how to like, you know, soak beans before you cook them. Like why would you do that? To help them, you know, be more digestible. Or the desserts are really fun for me because they're all healthy. Like that's what I love. I really love raw desserts, and just like healthy desserts are so fun for me because I don't know, they're all like, they, you know, quote unquote guilt free. It's like I think as women too, like we feel like, oh, we want the chocolate cake, but we should, oh, I really shouldn't, or something, you know? And it's like, no, let's just, you know, if it's all healthy, like there's a chocolate pudding that I have in the book, and the base is actually avocado, which is crazy, but it's like, you would never know, but it's just like, it's avocado. It's like local honey, which is so good for our allergies and for our, it's so like loaded with minerals. And then, you know, the cacao, like the raw chocolate, which is like magnesium. It's like, it helps us relax. It helps mineralize the body. So there's all these, and it tastes amazing, and you could eat as much as you want, and you don't have to feel any sort of way because you're getting all this nutrition. And, you know, and I think people too, they think like, I don't have time to cook. Like I'm busy. Right. But the thing is that you can really make, what I like to do in my personal life is I'll make a big pot of soup, let's say, and then I'll have it for the week. Or even like, say if you make a big pot of brown rice or something, just plain, then you can incorporate, you could stick it in your fridge and then you have it. And then you could just like, you know, stir fry it up with some vegetables, or you can make like a sweet dessert out of it, like a rice pudding or something, or you can make sushi rolls, you know, with it. I mean, so it's like you cook something and then you have it, you know, and it's not, I think people feel like they have to do this there's this whole culture of like, I don't know if you have this in France, like all these cooking, like competitions, like on television, these, you know, it's like Top Chef and like all this stuff. And it's like it's like this war of the chef. It's like this, to me, it's kind of fun. I'm so not like that at all. Yeah. Like my approach to food is like really comes from me living on like these organic farms and like, you know, cooking what we were growing. And that's really like where my energy is coming from. Yeah. But, you know, I know that, and I have so much respect for like the chefs that like, you know, they're super, I'm actually not classically trained as a chef. I just studied under people. I worked in restaurants. I took classes. I read books, and I taught myself, and I started getting jobs as a chef and practicing. So, but I mean, I have respect for people that do that, like that Top Chef thing. But I think that we get so into that mode where we think we have to be that and do that if we're going to cook. And so then we decide just not to cook, you know?
Yeah. And then I think, and the time trap, right? I don't have time to cook. And it's kind of interesting because I live in France, and food here is like so important and very sacred. And most French people, although, you know, it is changing here as well and more like fast food, but for a lot of people, food is really important. I mean, the kids at school, they get like between an hour and a half and 2 hours lunch break so they can go home and eat. And I was looking, it's so good. Yeah. And then I was looking at the menu for my kids for school lunch. And so school lunch is like an entree and then the main course and the dessert. And usually they get cheese or fruit. So it's actually like a 3-course thing, right? And so it's really, really important. So they're really into that. And I've noticed that a lot of people well, mostly the women, but I'm lucky because my husband loves cooking. They really make time because meal times are really important, and it's a time for people to gather. And although I didn't really have that when I was, when I moved away from my home, like with living with my parents and stuff, I kind of got into the busy trap, and I was never really interested in food. But I've noticed how nice it is now, because I used to think that I didn't have time, but actually it doesn't have to take that long. And the thing is, I think it's more a matter of priorities and investing in your health and well-being. Because the thing is, when we don't have time to cook and we do something kind of half-heartedly, or we eat like bad foods or foods with no nutrients, like at some point we are going to get sick, and that takes time too. So I see it as an investment in my health and in my family's health, and also time we spend together. So it kind of shifts that. So now I don't think I don't have time. It's more like, how do I make it work? Because that's important, because we do the things that matter, don't we?
And it's like, if we don't have our health, like, what do we have? I think especially as entrepreneurs, because I noticed it, like, for instance, even for me, I have to notice, like, and listen to my body, and when it's time to rest, and like what to eat and things, like, because last weekend I just went crazy. Like, I had all these events and I was out, and then I just got, like, I wore myself out, and so I had to tune in. It was like, I'm going to make a healing soup for myself. I'm going to drink juice. I'm going to, because if I get sick and then I'm sick all week, then what happens to my business? Like, if I'm a solo entrepreneur, like, my body is my business, it's like, if I'm feeling run down, then that's my business for the week. That's, and so it is important. It is important to, like, come back into our bodies and care for our bodies.
Yeah, and I do think food is as important as movement, as rest, as everything else. And I find that the more we take care of ourselves, the better things go in our businesses, right? Because we have the energy, we have the creative ideas, we're available when good things happen and opportunities come to us, because it's kind of our foundation, right? So yeah, I think it's super important. Anything that we invest in ourselves is always good to help our businesses and to enjoy life, because we want to live long and happy and healthy lives too, right?
Right. And I want to say, like, one thing that keeps me interested in food is, like, the way that it makes me feel. So it's and what it does, like, the other elements of my life that it enhances. So for instance, with my business, I feel so creative, like, and it also has to do with that I have my morning practice. Actually have my freebie on my website is a book called Morning Rituals Playbook, a little ebook.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's like, I feel that because I'm eating, and I'm not, perfect, or like, I love, I love a slice of pizza, or like whatever, I'm not like this totally, I'm only gluten-free all the time, and blah, blah, blah. I think that's an American thing, but whatever. Everyone has to be gluten-free. It's like, nobody in Europe is gluten-free. It's really funny, because you guys have, like, the good wheat. We have the bad, like, GMO wheat that's just messing everyone up. I think
it depends on what countries you're in. Things are changing a lot for us too, and then there is a lot to be kind of careful of. But I have to say, in France, although the gluten-free is coming, like, more into fashion, don't tell a random French person to eat, without gluten. Like, if they can't have their white bread and their baguettes and their croissants, it's like, what do you mean?
I love croissants. I had a croissant yesterday. It's so funny. I like to do, there's one little coffee shop, like a cafe, that I like to work at, and I get my, like, healthy drink. I get, like, a healthy drink there, and then sooner or later, I sometimes will just end up going for the croissant. Like,
good for you. A good croissant is always really, really nice.
It is.
And so, thank you so much, Debra. I love everything that you've shared, and I hope it inspires everyone to, try some of your recipes and to kind of play with food and make it sacred, and create a ritual out of really connecting with the food as you're preparing and eating it. And then it takes on a different different aspect, I guess, into like our daily lives as time for us, time for connecting, time for, you know, being together as well, and good breaks.
You can't eat food on the internet.
It's
one thing you can't do online.
That's so true. And I also wanted to, because I know that you do affirmative prayer, and I was thinking, because there's a lot going on in the world, and I know for a lot of us sensitive, intuitive souls, it's really hard, right, to stay focused and to do the work that we feel called to do, and to keep showing up as we become kind of heartbroken by everything that's happening and all the suffering in the world. So I would love for you to invite us into some prayer so that we can, you know,
absolutely
help with that.
Absolutely, yeah. So this affirmative prayer that I do, it's kind of a cross between a positive affirmation and a connection with like a higher power. You could call it like your inner voice or divine, the universe, whatever. It's not really religious. It's more spiritual, and it's just a nice way to shift energy. So if you're watching this and you're able to close your eyes, even if you're not, you know, moving around, and make sure that you're safe, but you can close your eyes right now and just take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, and just breathing in love for ourselves in this moment, and exhaling just any stress or tension, any distractions. So just coming into this present moment and just releasing everything else. So I'm really grateful. I'm grateful to be here with Karina. I love you, Karina. I'm grateful to just for the healing energy that I always feel when we talk. This peaceful energy that just surrounds you and us when we come together. And I'm grateful to be able to share these healing ideas with everyone today, and for the chance to come together in community. And I know that there is a greater power in the universe. I know that there is something more than all of the earth changes that are happening, all of like the crazy violent stuff, all of the just crazy news that we're seeing, and the things that we're feeling, right, in our bodies and our spirits as intuitives, as sensitive beings. I know that beyond that, if we can zoom out, I know that there is a greater power at hand. There is you could call it like the cycle of life, the universe, divine right order. It's bigger than our whole planet, really. It's bigger than our solar system, than the galaxy. This power, you know, people that are religious would call it like God or the goddess or creator, spirit. But I know that this power, when we zoom out, this power is absolute love. It is absolute peace. It is absolute joy. It is absolute harmony. It is absolute everything in divine right order. It is divine right action. It is peace and love and harmony and justice and grace. And I know that I am always connected into this power, this energy, this love, this protection, this safety, this peace, this grace, this clarity, this healing. I know that I'm always connected, and I know that just as I am connected, I know that you watching and listening right now, that you're always connected. You're always connected to divine grace, to harmony and protection and safety, to divine right order, to love, to peace, to justice and creativity and celebration of life, to the fun of life. I know that this is true for you, that this love is just running through everything that you create in your business, that it's the way that you love your family, your children. It's in every part of you. It is you. You are this divine love. You're always connected to a higher wisdom, a divine answer, a higher knowing. So we're anchoring this in, we're remembering this about ourselves, and we're calling forth a healing for the planet right now. We're calling forth a calming of the energies of Mother Earth. We're calling forth a harmony and peace between all people of the planet. And we're calling forth a feeling of safety and protection, peace and love within ourselves as individuals. A clearing of our minds of the fear, of the worry, of the terror, of the we're clearing out these these thought forms that are fearful and that are fearful and afraid. We're pulling them out. We're composting them back into the soil, because thoughts are just energy. So we're just unraveling the energy, and we're just going to compost that back into the soil, and the earth is going to transform it. And then we bring the energy back up as trust and as faith and as strength and as love and as energetic protection for ourselves, and staying in this energy no matter what is going on in the world around us, knowing that we're always protected, we're always safe, we're always divinely guided, and that we are the answer, we are the solution, and we're here to be the positive change on the planet. And that can come in different forms. Like some people, they're activists, they want to run for political office, or they want to call their politicians, their local politicians, to introduce a new law. But others of us are called to be healers, or we're called to be parents, or we're called to be coaches, right? To share this light. So just calling forth this courage and this trust, and this just staying in this energy of our strength, of our power, of our peaceful power, and knowing that this is the energy that we live in, no matter what is going on, that we're always anchored to the earth, supported by the earth, and we're always rooted, and we're always safe. So I'm so grateful to be able to say this affirmative prayer with you, to be able to know that this truth is already anchored here inside each one of us and on planet Earth right here and right now. And all we simply need to do is know that this prayer is already done, and we just release it into the universe knowing it is so. And we say, and so it is.
Thank you. And so it is. Oh, yeah. Beautiful, Debra. I loved that. So beautiful.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for sharing who you are. I love you. Your energy is beautiful. And for anyone who wants to find out more about Debra and find her beautiful book as well, and create some yummy food for you or your family or your friends, I will leave links below so you can find her on our website, and you can sign up for your newsletter and also find the book. And I'll also leave a link to my website so you can find out more about what I do, and check out any more interviews, because this is really, really fun and beautiful and special. So thank you so much, Debra, for coming.
You're so welcome, Karina. It's my honor. I adore you, and I've hired Karina before to do some sessions for me, and she's amazing. You're amazing, and I love you so much, and I'm honored to be here. So.
Oh, thank you. I love you, and thank you to everyone watching, and thank you for your presence. And yes, have a beautiful rest of your day.